Okay, so this is going to be a demonstration of 3 different types of lids. The overhang lid, the inset lid, and the cap lid. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just center up this clay, and I'm not gonna make the pots, I'm gonna make the collars and the lids, okay? And so, D, you were interested in asymmetrical pots. So this is what you do, is make collars and lids and attach them onto your closed form. All right, but I'm not gonna do really low collars. I'm gonna pretend that it's the collar of a pot. So we're gonna pretend there's a teapot here, right? And here's where it comes in for a lid to sit on it. A little wider. You want the top of your flange of your teapot, the rim of your teapot, to not be turned in like that. You want the flat to be on the top because that's the curve that's going to fit into the lid. So how you end the top of your teapot is important. I'm going to take this measurement right here. Always you're getting the measurement of your measurement to throw the lid, okay? So now, because Julia was so brilliant, I said, oh, I can do all 3 of these off the mound. There's a teapot under there, right?
Yep.
So now I'm gonna make an overhang lid with a flange that goes down in on the inside. So first thing I'm gonna make is like a little saucer. And this is gonna be the curvature of the top of my lid. Remember I talked about don't do a big deep saucer because then you're gonna have this huge dome on your teapot. So once you've made your little saucer, you're gonna kind of want some clay right here to move around. And I'm just gonna look and go, oh yeah, I can move that in easily. So what I do is I just come against that edge and I move this in. Like that. And you want this to be the thickness of that and this to be the thickness of those two. Do you see that? So I'm just gonna see if I'm even close, which I'm a little too big. So I'm just gonna take this and move it in. I have 3 points on the clay and I put it where I want it. You could like make a lid and just play with that. So what if I push it down and move it in? I can do that too. Did you see that? Just as long as you're holding center all the time. But I've lost a little bit of the curve of my dome, so I'm just gonna put it back in now. Why not? It's just pushing the clay down into the mound. Look how nicely my dome is back. Y'all see that? If you get way up here, I did this with somebody yesterday, I can't remember who, and you're like, but it's just way too high. Just take your hands and bring it down. Just put it wherever you need it. So at some point, you're really gonna be thinking about the line from the inside of your dome and that this right here is just a little bit higher than that is right there so that the lid goes like that, right? If it's way down meeting the dome, then you're gonna have a flat lid. There we go. So once you have your measurement, you probably want to make a little valley. You can do it with a small pinky. You can't do it with a big pinky, but I'm blessed. Julia's blessed. We've got a little pinky that'll do it. If you don't have a little pinky, you'll have to use a tool. All right, so I have too much overhang for almost every lid that I make. So I'm just gonna bring it out, pick my wheel speed up, cut it off. You don't have to go with how it lands. You can adjust it. Beef that back up. Think about this thickness. I was talking to Dee earlier. You don't want your lid this thick on a little teapot. You want it to mirror the thickness of your other elements, which is this and that, okay? That's a nice consideration to make. I'm getting that about how I like it. Now, one of the things I think about, if this is deep enough, do I want this to go straight out and kind of out like that? Or do I want it to curve down a little bit off of the teapot? And I decide that now. And y'all remember with the last one, I'm pushing that clay in and I'm giving it that little bit of a curve up under here because there's no better time than now. And if my measurement's still right, we'll torch it and put it on the rim. Bring it up just a smidge. Don't settle for okay. Get it right, okay? And that's right. Don't settle for okay. You want that lid to fit down, boom, right on there perfectly. That means you're throwing with excellence and you're making excellent pots. And some of them are gonna swim. And you're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna pay more attention next time. Mm-hmm. So make sure when you go to cut it off, I push this in here and then I push it down. Do you see that? Yeah. But don't leave so much clay up under there that you have to trim away a ½ pound of clay in order to get down to your lid. So I'm looking at that, I'm going down below it. It's an estimate, but it's close. Probably about how long I torched it. If you cut across, I've said this before, and you see your wire going through it, then you've cut it too thin. Nice. All right, so there it is. It's a perfect fit. You could do that, Jim.
Yeah.
50 times. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna do the inset.
100, yeah.
Well, I knew you were tired. I didn't want to say 100.
No, yeah.
Well, you know you do this, you got 3 of them.
Yeah, we got 3, yeah.
Okay, so I'm opening up my teapot.
Sorry, which one was this again?
This is the inset.
Inset.
I'm opening up my teapot, and I remember how I've held clay at the top to split the rim? Do you remember that?
This is the one that was escaping me. I was like,
what did we do? What did we do? The teapot's down here, okay?
Yes.
I lay it over so that it looks like a strong shoulder.
Yeah,
That's
this
a step I
this
missed.
the one I like.
You
I like
always
this
lay it
I
over, so
wasn't
you,
laying it over.
and then you take the rib and you point it towards yourself like you're gonna stab yourself and lie it down. You put your fingers right up under here and then you push down. And do you notice I'm not taking clay away? One of the common mistakes is you're like this and your landing is not flat.
Yeah.
I'm going down a little bit more because I know that I'm gonna do a reasonable thickness to my lid. And so I'm thinking about that now. This has to turn out a little bit, but don't turn it out so much that when you land right here, there's this big gap between your lid and your pot. So I'm gonna bring this in just a smidge, like that.
How thick is your clay at the very top? What are you leaving thickness?
Well, I didn't make a pot.
Well, I know, but when you make a
If it
pot,
is
½ an inch, maybe?
Yeah, yeah,
Bench.
yeah, it's a good amount of clay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cut that landing short. You should find a nice amount of clay under there. Even though it's thick there, I'm gonna take the edge and make it match what's gonna be my lid. This thickness, this depth, and this, and my lid. So it's thicker right in the middle of the landing, but where it's finished, where the eye sees it, I'm gonna match it up. So this is pretty strong. Little bit of an outturn. Do you see how subtle that outturn is? It's so subtle. It'll come like this, and there'll be this little valley between the two things. Okay, so now I need this measurement. So I'm measuring right across the middle of the circle. I'm coming down, and look, I'm not fudging. It's point to point.
Right there.
Get it exact. Set it down gently.
She looked at you.
Yeah. Don't slam it.
All right, now I'm taking the measurement of my measurement. Can we see that in the camera?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's, yeah, there we go. Yeah, you got it there.
Always you're taking a measurement of a measurement when you're doing lids. You always are. See how it's hitting it hard? I want it to go down and not hit it, but be just right for it.
Graze it almost, right?
Yeah, clay's interfering. There it is. See that? It's happy. Okay, so I'm gonna torch this.
I just gonna slide it out of the way. There's our pot.
So, remember when we threw the flange on your
Yes.
lid? If you threw a great pot and the top of it sucked, cut some off, take your measurement, throw this and attach it on. Just a big amount of clay, attach it on and make your galley. There's a lot of ways to get there. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it blew my mind just a
right.
little bit.
I'll try to remember. Will you write up here for me just a minute to send 3 lid video, glazing teapots and waxing teapots video, and throwing a long spout video, and what were we just talking about? Oh,
Oh,
editing the pot.
editing the pot, yeah.
And then once you get that, you can do it on any part of the pot.
Glazing and what?
Wax.
A long spout.
Glazing and waxing teapots.
3 spouts.
The long spout.
Long spout.
Yeah, long spout.
Because I only demoed that real fast for D, and they can just go longer and longer. And the last one was editing a pot. I think that's not a Facebook one, but it might be. It might be one of those that, I just want to say that, I'm going random on us, but that slip decoration of Mary Ann's is just fabulous.
I've been noticing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now, you've got this big knob, right?
Lids.
So I like to start with about the amount of clay that's a doorknob. And you want a stem up under here that's not too narrow, because that's gonna sit down inside the pot and you're gonna trim it, right? So now I need some of this clay. I'm gonna push down and just push in. You see that? And bring it in. Look at how I've got this big open thing. I'm just gonna push it down and close it up. You can do whatever you want. Julia does a lot of little lids, knobs like this. See that? And they're like little open thimbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring it back down. So you can experiment with your knobs. Bring that over. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this knob up, make it a little bit cool in some way. I don't like big thick stems, but sometimes the pot calls for it. You have to ask yourself. I tend to like my insets. You can do insets that do this kind of thing, but I tend to like mine to slope downward and follow the line of my pot. See that? So that's what I'm thinking about, and I have no idea what my measurement is, so I'm just gonna look at it. Look at that.
Nailed it.
I had no idea it was that close. That was luck. So I'm bringing it out just a smidge, And I always make this ledge straight because this is gonna touch down on my measurement. That's where I'm concerned. And this up here is going to be what that pulls in toward, right? Because it's gonna pull in, but it's still a little too big. I want this ledge right here to be as close to the depth. Can we see that on that?
I was gonna see if we could move it over here for the video.
Yeah, put it wherever you need. I want it to be as close to the depth of this galley as possible. But everybody knows from this workshop, you can trim and fix. It doesn't have to be sitting an inch down inside. You can trim down to it. I want a little bit more of a downhill turn, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it. So once you know your aesthetic, then you just go get it, right? Before you ever take it off. I just know that that's what I go for. That's good. Make sure it's even up and down. I've got a nice ledge up under there. A lot of you guys are coming like this to there and then you turn it over and you've got to trim your ledge and everything. Try to go ahead and just establish as much as you can when you're throwing because it just saves work.
Yeah.
It saves clay. This is a little thick right there, so I'm just gonna take it and push it up under. You can put clay wherever you want. That's one of the most wonderful things that I love to teach. People think you have to open and pull up and stretch out and that's what you got, but it's not the truth. Now let's see how that is. We like it. I'm gonna push that little bit of rounded out in because it was interfering. That's good. I can tell by looking at that inset that it's too deep right there. Can y'all see that? That it's too deep? So let me just go ahead. My eye set over there and I was like, that's not gonna work out. And I'm just gonna take some of it off.
Sarah, that's the best thing I like about this workshop, playing with the fire.
Yeah. That probably didn't change my measurement because I'd already torched it
Yeah.
and it didn't. So now I'm gonna cut this off and put it down in there. And I'm gonna take the wood stick and come way down here. And if you haven't saved enough, just move it down.
Yeah.
Don't go, oh, too late. It's not, just get it. I'm gonna push in. Oh, I can't leave all that or I won't be able to show because I didn't leave enough of the pot.
Oh,
So are y'all gonna forgive that and
yep.
realize I'm gonna cut it
Lift
up?
it up and hold it in your hand, then you'll be able to.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
Yep.
Should work, right?
Oh, except for that isn't narrow enough to
Yeah.
get in. So what do you do when that happens?
Well, Sarah over.
And then call Sarah.
We all have
You
the phone
reset it,
number
you're
now.
gonna cut it, you're gonna cut it.
Call- I just attached it back on.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
trim it.
I kind of found center, attached it back on, and now I'm just choking it.
Yeah.
Now, would I normally do that? Probably not. Just rest it in it upside down and fix it later. But for this little demo, let's do it.
That looks like it'll fit now.
Uh-oh. I threw stuff at it, Jim.
Mm.
You can overlook that.
Yay, look at that.
Way too thick and it doesn't fit. Look at that. It doesn't fit. It's way too thick. Wonder if it's this. It is. It's
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
trim
put
that
it in
in.
that way and see if it fits. That way it's, no, it just doesn't fit. I bet I bumped my measurement, but we'll leave it like that.
Rules still apply.
Yeah, the rules still apply, right.
Yeah.
Do that and make it fit.
Got it.
So the last one is the cap lid. And to me, that's the easiest one.
You mean
But
the-
there's still some tricks to it.
The ball, the
cap.
the cap.
Fits on top.
That's your face cups that
Yeah,
you
my
gave
face
us.
cup,
That's
my
right.
face pot, yeah.
So the height of your flange that's going on the top, that's like a bottleneck, determines the height of your cap. All right, so don't forget that because you're determining it. And here's a pot way down here. Well, let me get some so I can cut away. So then you just take your pinky or whatever, make a lid, make a level, a ledge. You gotta have the ledge, you guys, in order for this to work. You've got to have this little ledge. I like to do a little valley in my ledge, like that, so that it kind of sits down in the pot a little. I feel like that's always a nice, clean thing to wax. And if we had time, I'd show you some of Matt Long's, and you'd see how beautifully he has everything fit in. Okay, so here's my little ledge right there. This edge on the inside of your ledge is really important, that it's low too, or it's not gonna sit well. And it's probably a common mistake for the inside part of that to be too high. And you can just go back and put it on the wheel and trim it out. You know, it's not like it's the end of the world. So there's a pot happening. Oh, measurement first. Always measure before you torch. Some wisdom. Gonna fit right. You're gonna fit right there. And I really don't like cap lids to fit too tight. That can really be problematic.
That's why the ledge is good because it has a little wiggle room but still is secure.
Seated in
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Okay, so that's torched. There's a pot going on.
And the inside of that was round, right? The bottom, or,
That's pot.
oh, that's a pot?
That's the bottleneck of the
Yeah,
pot.
then you're gonna make the bowl to set.
Because I'm doing the cap lid. Yeah.
Sorry.
It looks like an overhang lid,
Yeah, so that's-
Yeah.
but
it
that's
does.
just because it's a demonstration.
Took me a minute too.
Yeah, I'm just like,
All right. I don't think I got the measurement of my measurement. So now this is what I'm gonna use to the inside of my little cap, right? There we go. The cap has to be at least that tall, you see that? So now the floor of this cap is what the lid is gonna look like. So you gotta think about that. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of a curve. Jim's gonna put faces on them.
I already did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I was already doing it and you saw that you're already doing it. You don't need to, just do it.
Let's pretend that this cap is going on a big pot and it has planes to it, okay? So the top's gonna be like this and then it's gonna go in like that.
Yeah. So you could make a bunch of those off the hump, couldn't you?
Yeah, and then you'd have to make every
Yeah.
pot the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you absolutely could. So now I'm really close. This would be the size cap you'd do on a funerary urn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna push down and bring it in just a smidge. And remember how the valley that it's gonna sit in is rounded?
Yeah.
I need this rounded. Please take the time to get it to fit, right? Let's do that. If it doesn't fit, what would we do? What would we adjust?
I think it depends on,
If it's like just a little too snug? You'd ask yourself, can I take a little out right there? How
Yeah.
thick is this? Oh gosh, yes I can. There's nice clay there. Could I take a little bit out of here? If it's a smidge, I could adjust it right there. Usually I'll take it right there if it's not a good fit. So basically, you want to watch the clay when you can have it. And remember, don't forget, you guys, remember when it sets up a little bit and I'm dissatisfied and I just take the pot and bring it in on the wheel?
Yep.
Don't forget that you can, make things work, okay? Let's see here, I hear my husband shuffle. Hey! Let's see how.
Y'all doing? Making,
Probably the last demo.
making teapot.
That's
Yeah.
what we've been doing, George.
Demo and lids.
Ooh.
Okay, so I think I've got this low enough. Let me double check. I'm gonna put my finger in here and feel where I am on the outside and I can tell I'm low enough. Are you gonna cut through some? You are. It's just gonna happen. But you don't wanna have to trim too much away,
Wow.
all right?
yeah,
Yes.
So see how if you did whoop and planed like that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
that could be really nice and curved like this. So the pot could go curve, plane, and then we'd have curved plane.
Yeah,
It's almost like your first teapot.
yeah.
You had those.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know,
So that's it.
that last lid gives me
Stop it.
gives me